John Travolta speaks out about finding new love. John Travolta is a household name in Hollywood and one of the most talented performers working today. But it doesn't imply he's devoid of mysteries. We'll take you through some of Travolta's life's twists and turns, from his connection with the Scientology organization to his colorful love life. John Travolta's personal life has been the subject of several media storms, but with so many romantic ties, it's difficult to keep track of his most recent love partner. John Travolta just chose to come out and clear the air, putting an end to speculation and conjecture. What he said was intriguing. A love for a lifetime. On the set of The Experts in 1987, John Travolta met Kelly Preston. Love seemed to be blooming, but there was one minor problem. Kelly was already married. Their love affair truly took off when they re-met in Vancouver in 1990 while working on different film projects, and they decided to give things a good attempt. Kelly filed for divorce from her spouse, and once the divorce was completed, the two were engaged. They had intended to marry in New York, but when things got out of hand, they decided to elope in the most romantic city in the world, Paris. And so the two of them married in 1991. Boy in the Plastic Bubble. This was John Travolta's breakthrough performance in the 1976 television picture, The Boy in the Plastic Bubble. Travolta portrayed the principal character, Tom, who was born with an underdeveloped immune system. His life must thus be regulated so that he doesn't get infected, since his body would be unable to fend them off. Tom, eager for new experiences, must walk about covered by a massive plastic bubble. As he begins to explore his surroundings, he falls in love with Gina, the girl who lives in the home next door. When Tom realizes he has built up enough immunity to leave his bubble, he goes for Gina. On-set romance was in the air, but it wasn't between Travolta and the woman who portrayed Gina. Travolta, on the other hand, was connected to Diana Hyland, who portrayed Tom's mother in the picture. This was to be Travolta's first of many love-related controversies. Love before Kelly. Diana Hyland and John Travolta were an odd couple, yet they were a real love match. They were 18 years apart, but as the saying goes, love conquers all. They met on the set of The Boy in the Plastic Bubble, where they portrayed mother and son, making them an unusual couple. Their love would not endure, as Hyland was diagnosed with breast cancer and died in Travolta's arms at the age of 41. The highly acclaimed film, The Boy in the Plastic Bubble, earned Hyland an Emmy Award, which Travolta received in her name. Kelly and Clooney. Kelly Preston had a colorful love history before meeting Travolta. Kelly was married to Kevin Gage when they met again in Vancouver. The couple had a large and costly wedding in Hawaii, but their marriage had only been 2 years old when things began to fall apart. Between 1987 and 1989, Kelly Preston was connected to handsome actor George Clooney. Clooney gave Kelly a pet pig named Max as a present, confirming reports of a strong connection. Preston was allowed to retain the animal when George and Kelly split. They married twice. When Travolta and Preston agreed to marry, things were not easy from the start. They felt that the wedding preparations were getting out of hand and flew to Paris for a simple ceremony in 1991. A Scientology minister performed the wedding, but when the happy couple got home, they learned that the union wasn't legally binding. They decided to swiftly plan another legal ceremony, which took place on Daytona Beach in Florida. Family tragedy. Jet Travolta, Kelly and John Travolta's son, died on January 2, 2009 in a tragic accident. The Travoltas were on vacation with their family at their home away from home, the Old Bahama Bay Hotel in the Bahamas. Jet, their 16-year-old son, died after hitting his head on the bathtub and having a seizure. He died suddenly, leaving the family, especially Jet's sister Ella, distraught and bereaved. Speaking on behalf of the Travoltas, their family attorney told People magazine, "To bury your son is the worst thing you can ever do." A family affair. For the Travoltas, acting was something of a family affair. Helen, John's mother, had a successful acting career, which impacted John and his professional choice. He'd seen his mother perform in movies and on stage as a youngster, taking on acting and dancing roles. John was a triple threat since he could act, dance, and sing, which he found while attending theater school in New York. The mother-son duo appeared in both Grease and Saturday Night Fever, demonstrating their multifaceted abilities to the audience. Travolta Sr. Helen and John, mother and son, had a particular affinity since they both loved the performing arts. Salvador Travolta, the family patriarch, was an Italian-American whose ancestors had immigrated to the United States. Salvatore, a second-generation immigrant, saw the potential of the American dream and followed his passion for football. He had a semi-professional football career before deciding to pursue something more stable. Salvatore resigned from athletics and established a family-run tire company in New Jersey. Salvador Travolta died in 1995, creating a void in the Travolta family. He's a pilot. Travolta enjoys flying in addition to performing. He's an experienced pilot who just earned his formal pilot's license, enabling him to operate private aircraft. Because of this interest, he purchased his own fleet of 5 aircraft. A Boeing 707 is included in the aircraft, which Travolta uses to transport his family and friends throughout the nation and to exotic, far-flung locales. Travolta is so passionate about aircraft that he constructed a house for his family in a residential air park as part of the Jumbo Lair Aviation Estates. The home was designed with a runway leading directly to Travolta's front door, allowing him to get in an aircraft and travel anywhere he wants, whenever he wants. Net worth. Travolta's had a long and successful career which has enabled him to accumulate wealth and establish a name. Travolta's net worth is now believed to be $170 million. The star of Grease and Hairspray is one of Hollywood's highest-paid performers, and with successes like Saturday Night Fever, the royalties simply keep on coming. With this amount of revenue, it's hardly surprising that he can afford to buy fancy mansions and aircraft to add to his already formidable fleet. Dancing confession. In 1977, Travolta dazzled viewers with his acting and dancing prowess in the smash film Saturday Night Fever. Travolta certainly had a natural skill, but he had to work hard to hone it and become a lethal dancer. Travolta spent 9 months at a dance school getting in shape for this role. He wanted to incorporate elements from the movie Soul Train into his dance. Travolta told Vanity Fair magazine at the time that he preferred black dancing to white dancing, and that he wanted to incorporate parts of the Soul Train ambiance into Saturday Night Fever. Oprah's best friend. John Travolta and Oprah Winfrey have formed a particular friendship over the years. She said that he is her favorite movie star, and Travolta often chooses Oprah over other TV appearances. Oprah famously declared on the first episode of her last season of her talk show in 2010 that the whole audience would be invited on an 8-day, all-expenses-paid trip to Australia. And if that wasn't enough, John Travolta volunteered to fly the crowd to their destination. To make this a reality, the couple had to work on it for almost a year. John gets personal. Kelly and John are both accustomed to being in the spotlight, and there were times when they thought it was critical for them to be heard. They chose to come out about the amazing weekend they spent at Demi Moore and Bruce Willis's house, where they think they conceived their beloved son Jet in 1996. They had no clue that Jet would leave them in just a few years. It's not always been easy for the Travoltas, and they have publicly admitted to seeking the assistance of a Scientology marital counselor through some of their most difficult moments. Kelly and Charlie Sheen. Kelly Preston was previously married, but she was also briefly engaged to Charlie Sheen in 1990. Sheen popped the question with a 2.5-carat diamond engagement ring. The relationship terminated due to a pistol accident, which Kelly detailed in her memoirs. Charlie was carrying a pistol which he kept in the pocket of his pants. Kelly was attempting to clean up and relocate the pants when the revolver went off, striking her in the arm. They agreed to sell the engagement ring and divide the proceeds amicably. Romantic scandal. It's not uncommon for Hollywood stars to get embroiled in a love controversy, and John Travolta is no exception. Douglas Gaturba, a former Travolta pilot, said in 2014 that he'd been having sexual contact with Travolta for 6 years. Gaturba broke his silence in an interview with the National Enquirer. The Travolta family dismissed the claim as ridiculous. When the charge was made, Gaturba said he was not violating any non-disclosure agreements and that the incident occurred when he was traveling for the Travolta family aviation firm. Kirsty Ali and Travolta. Kirsty Ali and John Travolta were close friends. They first met when they appeared in the smash film Look Who's Talking And then again in the sequel, Look Who's Talking Now. They learned they had many of the same interests, including Scientology. Ali took years to get over her love for Travolta. It's strange she felt that way considering she was married to Parker Stevenson at the time they met, despite stating to Barbara Walters that he was the love of my life. Kirsty remained devoted to Stevenson, and she and Travolta remained close. After tragedy. Life in the Travolta household was quite normal as life can be when your father is one of Hollywood's highest paid performers. Up until Jet Travolta's tragic death from a seizure at the age of 16, their lives were as they were. Jet had an 8-year-old younger sister when her older brother died in such awful circumstances. A few days after the accident, the Travoltas issued a statement about Jet. It said, "Jet was the most wonderful son that two parents could ever ask for, and he lit up the lives of everyone he encountered. Any parent who has lost a child will tell you that it's the most difficult agony you'll ever experience, and you'll think about them every day." Marriage secrets. It takes hard work and devotion to celebrate 25 years of marriage, and John and Kelly opened up to Closer Weekly about what they do to keep things on track. The basic idea is that they really care for one another and share a loving relationship. They also told the magazine that they both have a natural need to protect one another. Most married couples would also advise you to keep things interesting, have new experiences together so that you may continue to develop as a relationship and progress through the many stages of life together. Kelly agrees with all of these points and added that it's important for couples to make time for one another. "Just the two of you, keep doing things," she continued. His romantic preference. Nobody knows what Travolta's romantic inclinations are. He seemed to be content with his long-term wife, Kelly Preston, with whom he had 3 children. With a slew of complaints from individuals alleging unwanted romantic attempts from Travolta, it's difficult to continue ignoring his condition. Travolta is obviously sick of such charges, and in an interview with the Daily Beast, he was reported as stating, "I found it most offensive with the loss of my son. That was the lowest point I'd ever experienced. That material will always be intriguing to someone, but you avoid family. This is the Achilles heel of every star. It's just a case of individuals seeking money. That's all there is to it. It occurs on several levels." Moving forward. Travolta has had a long and successful career, but we don't know what's ahead for him. Perhaps in the Netflix era when TV reigns supreme, he'll produce more works like the People vs. O.J. Simpson American Crime Story. Perhaps the days of big-budget films like Saturday Night Fever, Grease, and Pulp Fiction are over for him. Maybe he'll decide it's time to concentrate on his family and his passion for flying. What we do know is that whatever Travolta puts his mind to, he goes for it full speed until he has mastered it. Back in 2016, he was promised fresh options for stage and film, so we're all waiting to see what he comes up with next. Losing Kelly. After experiencing trials and personal catastrophes together for so many years, nothing appeared to be able to separate the two Travoltas. In other circumstances, though, a couple cannot accomplish much against a superior power. Kelly was tragically diagnosed with breast cancer in 2018, a diagnosis that the family kept private. She died at the age of 57 after 2 years of therapy. John announced her death in a poignant Instagram message, honoring her bravery and the love she received during her arduous struggle. She will always be his first love. Sparks fly for John Travolta and his new girlfriend. As one would assume, the Lonely Hearts actor has kept a quiet profile since his wife's terrible passing. He has not been formally connected romantically, famously, or otherwise to anyone. Travolta is clearly still in mourning over the loss of his wife and his children's mother. "I learned that mourning someone and dealing with grief is something very personal," he says.